Hi, I'm the Pixie, or you can just call me Pixie. I'm not really prepared for this, but I feel like if I wait to be prepared, I'm never going to do this. So, hi. I'm not really a video type person. I usually stick to doing photographs, and that's my comfort level. So just bear with me, and hopefully this will end up being fun and something that I keep doing. I'm here because I feel like there's something missing in the specifically Atlanta BDSM and Kink community. There's a lot of focus on having fun, body positivity, sexual openness, and that's all fine and dandy. That's great. That's wonderful stuff that we need. However, we also need to pay attention to red flags. We throw this word around, red flag, red flag, red flag, and everyone has a different idea of what it means, obviously. But I want to talk a little bit about what some red flags are in the community, and we'll go from there. If you have any questions, if you have any examples, feel free to post in the comments. I'm going to try to keep an eye on this. And I also plan on doing more videos. So let me give you a little bit of backstory about why I'm bringing this up very specifically. Michael Wren Weissowski, you've probably seen his name plastered on the internet and on the news. He is from Atlanta. Somebody that I went to college with, somebody that I vetted and brought around the scene. I regret that, but if it wasn't me, something else would have happened. It's just his personality type. However, I bring this up specifically to say, just because someone is vetted, even by someone you trust, does not make them inherently safe. Let me say that again. Just because someone is vetted, just because someone is vetted by someone that you trust, does not mean that they are safe. And that's a really scary realization. You want to trust your friends. You want to trust the people your friends trust. You want to trust the people that you meet when you go out. And you can't. Trust has to be something that is earned. It's a long process for me, and hopefully it's a long process for you guys, because there are abusers, specifically in the Atlanta kink scene. I say Atlanta because I'm from here. I'm sure there are abusers in everyone's scene. And before you say there aren't, step back, don't be emotional, and look. There are several abusers running around the Atlanta kink scene that I know about personally, and I'm sure there's more that I don't know about. And it's a sad fact. Kink draws abusers because it allows for certain things that are not socially acceptable. That said, what is the line between kinky, hardcore edge player, doing risky things, and abuse? Some people would say it's a delicate line, it's a gray area, it's blah, blah, blah. No. In my opinion, there is no gray area when it comes to kink. the line is this: as long as you consent, it's fine. The second you withdraw consent, it's abuse. If you are not allowed to withdraw consent, it's abuse. Obviously, there are certain people who would like to play without safe words, both on the top and the bottom end. And that is extremely dangerous, and I would never suggest that you do that, period. However, if you're going to, at the very least, do it with somebody you've been playing with a really long time. Someone that you trust, understands your body language, understands your headspace, understands what you enjoy, what you're okay with, and where your boundaries are. Where your hard and your soft limits lie. Because that is important. Depending on what scenario it is, sometimes soft limits aren't even okay to be pressed. If I'm playing with someone new, you don't cross my soft limits. I put those there as things that I'm potentially okay with on a whole. But if I don't know you, that in that session is a hard limit. And it's okay to change what your limits are from encounter to encounter, from person to person. Just because I'm really into face slapping, for example, does not mean that anyone who I play with can slap me in the face. It means that the person that I choose to trust with that can. It means that if I give you explicit permission, it's okay. It does not mean that, oh, she likes it, let me just go hit her. And I kind of feel like I'm rambling, and I'm sorry, but like I said, I'm not used to this whole video thing. I'm also kind of boring, just sitting here being like, hi. But I figured that audio only would be even worse. If you choose not to play with the safe words, there we are. That idea as a fantasy can be really appealing. In practical use, it is a way that abusers can get away with ignoring you. Especially if you're playing with consensual non-consent. Again, please only do this with people you trust. Technically, consensual non-consent has the potential to get the top arrested for rape. I've been hearing this thing about the legal gray area of kink, and I need to do some more research on the laws, but why chance it? If your sub goes to the authorities and says, hey, this person raped me, I specifically said no, I don't know what could happen. I don't know what proof there is. I also know that it's really hard to prosecute rapists and other abusers. Normally, in normal vanilla land, it's really difficult. So it's probably safer, just to play by the assumption that you could end up in a situation that is dangerous and abusive, and do everything you can to avoid that. Like I said, consensual non-consent can be really fun, but trust the person that you're with. People act like having a safe word makes the scene safe, and it doesn't. An abuser can choose not to listen to your safe word. An abuser will choose not to listen to your safe word. Your abuser can choose to guilt you because you used your safe word. acting as though using your safe word is somehow letting them down or somehow making you a bad submissive, which is bullshit. Your safe word is there for safety. Your safe word is there for a reason. Sometimes people don't think about their safe words, which is something that I was lucky enough to learn when I first got into the scene about 10 years ago, and I've never really heard it mentioned. So, something you can do in a new situation with your existing partner, you may have been together for 20 years, but this is something you can go home and do, is in the middle of a scene, in the middle of a session, no matter how happy everything is, how glorious everything is going, pause. Break it. Yes, break the moment. Break the idea and the whole happy, fun thing, because safety is more important than your orgasm. Let me say that again. Safety is more important than your orgasm. Take a moment in the middle of perfectly normal, fun, whatever is happy and you guys know you're totally okay with. In the middle of it, pause and go, what's your safe word? And you might be shocked and realize that you don't remember it. I didn't. I picked pineapple or some random pea name. Peppermint, I don't know. I started using traffic codes, red, yellow, and green after that. Red, yellow, and green. Because I was in the middle of a session, it was perfectly fine, and my dom said, what's your safe word? I couldn't remember it. I pud for a bit, and I may have eventually gotten to it after saying 4 or 5 P words, but what does that prove? If I needed it, it wouldn't have been there. If I needed it, I wouldn't have remembered. And that's kind of a terrifying thought, because we talk about safe words, and we think of them as long as the other person listens, you're safe because you can stop at any time. You can't use your safe word if you don't remember it. And there are people with a philosophy of thought that isn't very far off base. It's not off base at all. That you shouldn't need safe words. They're there for extra security, but you should never get to that point because you should know your partner well enough to realize when something's not okay. And while I agree with that in real relationships, I've never had a safe word with my long-term partner. But in new relationships or random play sessions or whatever, you don't have that security. You don't know each other. So you need to be able to remember your safe word. And when you're in a lot of public places, they are going to flat out say, whatever your safe word is, we acknowledge red here. So if you say red, your partner doesn't stop, then a dungeon monitor can step in. And traffic lights are ingrained in us from childhood. Green means go, yellow means ease up, slow down, and red means stop. And it's kind of hard to forget. So I also like this because you can check in with your partner. So when I was shaving my head for the first time, I didn't do it by myself. I mean, not entirely. Partly because I wanted to keep my hair. So I had somebody help me with it. And the person that was holding the scissors next to my ponytails was petrified that I would have some issue with it later and that I wasn't totally okay with this. And didn't want any issues to pop up because of this cutting my hair off. I've had long hair all my life. And so they're holding scissors next to my hair, not cutting. And I'm like, yes, I'm fine. Let's go. Let's do it. And I remember that they're in the fet scene too. So I'm just like, green, green, I am green, let's do this. And it worked because that's not just me saying I'm okay. That is a very explicit, yes, keep going. In a lot of manners that can seem more explicit than just saying, yes, I'm okay. Especially if you're doing something where, like consensual non-consent, where saying, yeah, I'm fine, is going to break things. Saying green still could, but it's also a way you can check in without really breaking the character. Yellow, I actually love, because it's something you can say when you're not ready to stop, but you're not okay with what's currently going on, or it got too hard, too stingy, the wrong place, etc. Yellow to me means ease up, change what you're doing. It can also be a moment where you pause and recenter yourself and you check in with your partner and go, what needs to be changed? What am I doing wrong? I've only ever had to color out and say a full-blown red like once or twice in my life. Well, I mean, in the 10 plus years I've been doing this. I've used yellow a bunch of times, and it's wonderful because when I go, you know, in my head, there's something wrong. There's something that's not quite right, but it's not bad enough for me to say stop. I don't want to end the scene. I just want something to shift. Yellow is wonderful. It's also great because it's something where as soon as you see something is going to become an issue, you can stop it before it does. And for me, a lot of times just shifting the way something's being done is enough to make it okay. And then, of course, if you have to get to red, then everything should stop instantly. Is the guy about to come? Is the girl you're with about to come? Doesn't matter. You stop. Another thing, before I jump ahead, if the person ignores your yellow and keeps doing exactly the same thing, don't wait to get to the point where you want to call red. Call red immediately. Because that's a red flag. I started this thing with red flags, so let's go there. If they ignore your yellow, that is a red flag that they are going to ignore your red. And sometimes, if you haven't had an experience where you've had to call red before, they will stop that time to kind of prove their trustworthiness. And so it's a way that you can potentially get out of a situation. Yellow should always be listened to, just as much as red should always be listened to. What I said earlier, there is no gray area when it comes to kink and fun versus abuse. Once you say red, that is more explicit than no. It cannot be misconstrued in the middle of consensual non-consent. If it keeps going, it is abuse. Don't let someone tell you they were lost in the moment. Don't let someone tell you they didn't think it was a big deal to keep going another second, that they were about to come, that anything. No, it's not okay. It is not okay to ignore your safe word. And in some scenarios, no is your safe word. Just make sure you both explicitly know what your safe word is. make sure you both explicitly know what rules you're playing by. And a nice little rule for when you're playing with new people, no always is red. Because it is instinctual to say no. It's not necessarily instinctual to use a safe word. Sometimes in a DS relationship, it isn't even instinctual to say no. I had one experience. I was trying something new. I did not know if I would like it or not. And I was willing to give it a shot. And it was a good 2 hours after I went home that I realized I could have made it stop. I could have colored out. It was really painful and shocking to make that realization. I was still a baby at the time. I didn't really have safe words ingrained in me, even though I told you my first dom was the one like, pause, hey, what's your safe word? Do you know it? I still didn't think about it. It didn't even occur to me to say anything to make it stop. In my head, I was begging him to stop. Nothing came out. I don't know why. I've never figured that out. I don't know why. But I swore to myself I would never let that happen again. So that's something else to be aware of. Even if your natural impulse is not to freeze, that could still happen. It could still just not occur to you to say anything. So be aware of that. Be cautious. And that's all the more reason to play with someone you really trust. As a top, always check in with your partner, especially if you're trying something new. Something that would have probably broken my weird frozen thing would have been had he said, hey, you okay? I could have said green or not, and we could have moved on. I could have been like, oh, hey, yeah, I'm not okay. Let's red here and let's stop and let's talk about it. So that's something else to be aware of, that you might not react the way you think you'll react. You might not think about the things you think you should think about. And that's okay too. We all are different. We all have our different mental patterns. You just have to learn this about yourself. And you have to understand your psyche to really be able to play as safe as you can. I think I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I've covered a lot of ground and I kind of want to go through my video and see what's what. All right. Thanks for bearing with my rambling ass. I hope it was helpful. I hope you learned something. Or had your own thoughts reiterated. That's always a good thing too. If you've got questions, comments, concerns, if you have a topic you want to have me cover, leave it in the comments. Bye.